What is up, guys? It is Will Sports, and today I'm going to be talking about the Niners and the Cowboys. This was a beatdown. The Niners, Cowboys, this was a very highly anticipated game, and it just did not go as anticipated at all. The Niners ran away with it. They just physically started to take over. Defensively, had guys like Fred Warner, Charvarius Ward, Nick Bosa, Dre Greenlaw, like all these guys all over the place, and they just put up a great performance. They stifled Dak in that offense. They didn't allow anything, and then on the offense, what can I say? Brock Purdy is proven to be the real deal. He's continues to go out there and win games, and he continues to go out there and run the system well and get everybody in order. And I get there's a lot of talent around him, and we won't fully know if he's an elite quarterback until we see him in a situation where he's down. But based off what we're seeing right now, we have to give him credit for that, and we have to acknowledge that all he does is win. I mean, he's now 11-0 in games that he starts and finishes as a starter in the NFL. So he has been spectacular. He has been efficient. He doesn't make the mistakes. And last night, he completely outplayed Dak. He was 17-24, 252 yards and 4 touchdowns, and led this offense to 421 yards. They were very balanced. They had great games from guys like George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey got in on the action, Brandon Ayuk. It was just an amazing performance from this team all around. And I guess my question would be, did Brock Purdy prove that he is the real deal? I think he did. I definitely think that Brock Purdy now, I think we start talking about quarterbacks now, I'm not going to put him in the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen, the Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert tiers. But I'm going to put him in that tier with Kirk Cousins. I think I could put him ahead of Dak now. I think at this point we've seen Dak underperform in big games enough to where we could reasonably put Purdy ahead of Dak. Considering they're in similar situations with similar talent, I could put Purdy ahead of him. I think you could put him in the Jared Goff and the Geno Smith type of tier. A lot of people have been critical of Brock because of what the Niners, roster looks like. They have all pros at running back, receiver, pass rush, linebacker, the offensive line. They have all pros every fucking where on the roster. And then to add on top of that, you have one of the best play callers in the league in Kyle Shanahan. So a lot of people have just felt like it's not Brock, it's everything around him. To a degree, I agree. Brock is in a great situation. Do I know if he'd be this same type of player in another situation? I don't for sure know, but I don't think he'd be bad. I think we have reason to believe based off these games that he's just a good quarterback. Like last night was a game, he was not just dinking and dunking the ball. Like he was making over the middle throws where defenders were, in the area, and he had to throw it over receivers. He had to get the ball up over receivers into the receiver's hand. And he was doing a really good job of just putting accuracy on the ball the entire game. And, I don't know how many out of structure plays he was making, but, everything he was doing was executed well. Even if it was scripted and they wanted him to do this, he still executed. And that's been the thing. He's executing these plays well. And just because you have a great offense around you doesn't mean you're going to execute well. And he's doing that. I mean, he has great pieces, but he takes advantage of that and he uses them to his advantage. He doesn't sit here and have shitty games when there's no excuse for him to have shitty games because he has all the talent in the world to be successful. He's continuously being successful. So I think with Brock Purdy, he's proving a lot of people wrong. A lot of people who sit here and say he has nothing to do with the Niners' success. Hey, I can understand your point, but he continues to go out there and play at this high level. Last week, he was like 20-21 against the Cardinals, and then you follow that up. Big stage. Everyone's like, this is a hyped up game, and everyone's talking about how the pressure in this game and the stakes. And granted, I thought there was more on the Cowboys than the Niners, but it was still some pressure on the Niners to come out here and continue to not let the Cowboys gain any confidence on them. And they shut them down, like I said. And Purdy, at this point, we have got to start giving him his just due and his respect. A lot of people like to compare him to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo, in my opinion, he was a guy that would make mistakes, and he was way more turnover prone. And I don't think the accuracy with him was nearly as what it is with Purdy. And granted, Purdy was coming in as a 60th pick in the draft, and basically no type of NFL experience before he came and started for the Niners. Jimmy Garoppolo at least had those years with New England, with Tom Brady, with Bill Belichick, to learn a lot. He played some, so he has some experience, and I think their ceiling with Brock Purdy is higher than it was with Jimmy Garoppolo, just because I don't know. Jimmy G has always been a guy that I don't feel like he's as good at reading the defenses and making the right plays as Brock Purdy. Now, I know the numbers and all that might be similar, and Jimmy G might have, won a lot of games with the Niners too. But I just think Brock Purdy has more juice to him. He's a more mobile quarterback. I feel like he's like a guy that can, play make and make things happen more, out of script a lot better. So I like what I've seen out of Brock Purdy. I want to give him his credit. He seems like a very humble, respectful type of dude too. He seems easygoing, and he's clearly leading that locker room the right way. And you got to give him credit, because he hasn't even started a full 17 games, so he's really still rookie. And I just want to give him credit for what he's done, because I think while he's in a great situation, you still have to be impressed that he's executing every week and he's doing exactly what they want him to do. And I don't want to be hard on him and criticize him for doing what he's supposed to do. I mean, he's playing well. So kudos to Brock Purdy and the Niners. And right now they're the clear-cut best team in the NFL. Like I said, I mean, offensively, defensively, they're so well-rounded. And when you have guys making plays and playing for one another, it's going to show. And I mean, the thing with this team is, like, every week it feels like it's a different guy, especially on offense. Like, one week is George Kittle. Yesterday was George Kittle. One week is Brandon Ayuk. The next is Debo. Christian McCaffrey is going to be there every game. I mean, you just have so many options with this team to go to. And then, like I said, defensively, when you have guys like Fred Warner battling and doing everything in his power to make every play. Fred Warner was all over the field yesterday, in coverage, pass rushing, all this different stuff. He was everywhere. And we already know what Nick Bosa is capable of. He's a guy that's a DPOY candidate every year. They just did a great job. You got to give them credit. Great win for the Niners. Let me talk about Dak briefly before I go. Dak in this game, another really shit performance and a big game for him. He was 14 of 24, 153 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. I don't know what else to say about Dak. I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not gonna lead you to a Super Bowl. I think at this point we've seen enough to know that that's not gonna happen. I think Dak, he presses too much and he tries to get it all back in one play. What they want him to do this year is to just manage the game, but in a game like this, they need more than that. They need it more. They're gonna need more, because even though I think the Cowboys are supremely talented, the Niners are still the more talented team. So they were going to need Dak to play up and play above what they've been wanting him to do this year. And he couldn't do it. The turnovers did not come until later in the game, when the Niners already had some separation. So it's like, but the turnovers added to the separation, So they were bad. And Dak, just throughout the whole game, there was not much going on. I mean, he couldn't get this offense into much of a rhythm. There was just several drives earlier where they were going 3 and out, and the Niners were scoring, and you needed to respond, and Dak wasn't making anything happen. He did have that one touchdown pass to Kevontae Turpin, but other than that, it was just a really bad night for Dak. And mentally, you could tell it was starting to get to him. You could just see him on the sidelines with his head down, and they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't get anything through the air. Like I said, the Niners defense was stifling. Tony Pollard was held to 29 yards rushing, and the Cowboys just looked very anemic and cold on offense. And this is a team that, they came in with hoping to build some confidence, hoping to finally get over that 49ers hump. And instead, I don't think you could feel any worse now. If you're a Cowboys player, Cowboys fan, in that Cowboys front office, anything having to do with the Cowboys, I don't think you could feel any worse after today than you do right now, because you got obliterated. And defensively, the defense didn't even play good in this game. I mean, there were so many open lanes, to run. It felt like every run that the Niners were going for was like, at least 6 to 7 yards. They were picking up yards in large amounts. And then Brock Purdy was dissecting his defense, and there were so many guys open over the middle. It just was not a good performance, and we all were concerned about the Trevon Diggs, injury, but we thought they could be fine. And I still think against most teams they'll be fine, but when you're playing the elite, that Trevon Diggs injury is gonna hurt. Now, do I think they would have won this game with Trevon Diggs? I don't, but you look at their secondary. Stephon Gilmore is not the same player anymore. Deron Bland is probably their best player back there, but in this game he just didn't have much of an effect. And when you look at this defense, I mean, you have a great pass rush, and they have not been able to get to the passer in a few of these games since Trevon Diggs got hurt. So this is a team in the Cowboys that it's just that this is why you don't trust them. I'm not one of these people that want to hate, but Cowboys fans are very loud, and they cause this for themselves because they talk so much. And when your team fails, everyone's gonna come after you. And Dak is the main person that's going to hear it because he has underperformed in several of these big games, and I just think at this point, you know what he is. He's a good regular season quarterback. He can win you some games. You're going to win games against the teams you should be for the most part, but when it comes to that big game against the Niners, against the Eagles, you're not winning those. So you're not winning a Super Bowl. So I think they need to. I mean, obviously, it's too early in the season to say move off of Dak, but I think that they're going to end their season the exact same way. They're going to lose to the Cowboys, to the Eagles or the Niners. I think next season, I don't know if Dak's going to be there because at this point, I think you've seen enough, with Dak. He's just not the guy to get you over the hump. And, Mike McCarthy and that offense, the play calling yesterday was just, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what they did. They couldn't get anything going for this team in the run game. And we've been hearing so much about how Mike McCarthy's such a great play caller. Well, this is your game to show that. And they haven't played a great, offense yet either. And so their defense kind of looked a little bit fraudulent in this game too, because the offenses they had played were the Jets, the Patriots, who they played week 1, the Giants, and then last week the one loss was to the Cardinals, which is probably the best offense they faced up until this point. But they hadn't faced an elite offense, and they finally did, and they gave up, 42. Now, Dak helped, make it a lot easier for the Niners to get to 42, but even without the turnovers, the Cowboys defense was not playing well. So, just very disappointing in the Cowboys, and if you're a Niners, you got to feel really good about yourself. I think now in the NFC, we have a clear-cut top two, the Niners and the Eagles. You could argue the Lions are right above the Cowboys. I think the Lions have continued to prove themselves, but yeah, very impressive performance from the Niners, and those are my thoughts. And yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. What else would you like me to make any videos about? And yeah, it's been Will Sports. Peace.